So, is there a God? This question doesn't intrigue me as much lately as it used to, or as it intrigues most people. And I feel like it doesn't intrigue me as much is because I'm more interested in what's out there. What's out there on these planets that our telescopes can't reach? There are some planets out there that they say have Earth like properties. I'm also more so interested in what's on the end of the universe. Is there an actual wall where it stops, or what's on the other side of that? Or does it go on forever? Those type of questions have really changed my view on the question, or they really changed my thoughts on the question of is there a God? But in this video, I'll be going into the question of how I feel about if there's a God or not, and basically a little bit of backstory about me. So I grew up religious, Christian, and I went to school, Sunday school, read the Bible, prayed, did that kind of stuff. And I wasn't super crazy religious, but a moderate amount. And part of the teachings is the only way to heaven is through this way. So I would hear the pastors, bishops, elders in the churches that I've been in say that. Some of them would say, that's the only way to heaven. So it did have me think sometimes, like, okay, that's what they're saying, but they're saying other religions or other prophets like Muhammad, Buddha, I don't know what other prophets other religions have, but they would say those prophets are false prophets, or the only true way to heaven is this way, through Jesus. So I would think to myself, like, it's very possible that the other religions and their synagogues and churches or places of worship are saying the exact same thing. So that is something I did have thoughts about while I was in church in my younger days, elementary, junior high school. But I would kind of keep it in the back of my mind and say, hey, maybe I got lucky and I just happened to be in the right situation where I could find the right religion. In school, there would be, I took a few classes, most students do in the United States, such as ancient civilization, and the different cultures and ancient civilizations don't really line up with the timelines of what the Bible has laid out, in a sense. I could be wrong, but in some of the classes I took in school, these civilizations tend to be more than 5,000 plus years old. So that kind of has me, wrestling with the idea of, should I believe what they're telling me in school? Should I believe what's getting preached to me in the churches? Or maybe it's all together and God made things that way. Well, we also have dinosaurs, another elephant in the room. I'm pretty sure the Bible doesn't have dinosaurs in it. I could be wrong. And dinosaurs are estimated to be hundreds of thousands of years old. I mean, we do have their bones, so that kind of proves that they do exist, or they did exist. And there's also like other animals, saber-toothed tigers, woolly mammoths, that no longer exist, but are said to have existed, long before the timeline of the Bible's age of the earth. So those things had me questioning, wrestling back and forth when I would hear these things. But over time, I did become more interested in chemistry specifically. I became very fascinated with subatomic particles and the way atoms work and how these different particles react with each other, what makes up these particles. It's weird why they do these things. I also became very fascinated with how expansive the universe is and how far it goes out. What the hell is really out there? What happens on the other side of a black hole if you were to get sucked into one? So these type of things really started to interest me. So when I start to think about whether or not God exists or not, it doesn't really depress me, because if there is no God, if we die, that's probably just it. You cease to exist. But it doesn't have to be depressing to me. The way I see it is, you're alive for 75, 80 years, and if you believe in the Bible, they probably estimate the earth to be like around 4,000 to 5,000 years old. I'm assuming, could be wrong, but that means that you're only alive for about maybe 1.8% of the time. If you believe the Earth is older, probably more like 100,000 years, your existence is only about 0.075% of time. If you go back even further, where a lot of scientists and experts agree on the Earth being billions of years old, your existence is, I'm sure, a couple millionth of a percent, if that. So it helps me put our problems, or at least my personal problems, into perspective, that probably really doesn't matter. A lot of problems and things that we stress about is existing for a millionth or a billionth of a percent of the time since we've been around. Even if you believe the Earth is 4,000 years old, and that's the way it is. So maybe God created everything. Maybe God made everything this way. I don't know. But me looking at the timeline of life and relative to how long the Earth's been around, the universe, etc., it helps me put things into perspective, and I don't get as depressed about it. But that's just how I feel about this topic and conversation. Curious to hear about what you guys have to say. If you agree, you disagree, just share your thoughts. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.